We fought hard for that. I also feel very confident that the worst onus, I guess, of the single business tax is now long gone. In fact, we've replaced the fact that the SBT put a penalty on hiring people and also providing health care. That's gone. In fact, we incentivize creating jobs here in Michigan with a compensation credit, which I think is very important. We strengthen an R&D, research and development credit, so important to Automation Alley. And if you invest here in Michigan, you will see a credit. Your tax liability will be affected in a positive way. Now, if you're an out-of-state company selling into Michigan, you are going to pay more. So in essence, it says, be smart. Come to Michigan and locate here. This is the place to be, and then your tax liability will go down. Do we know just the impact on this? We won't know for probably a couple of years, a few years, but nevertheless, we think that this as a guiding principle will be very helpful and make Michigan more competitive, as you say, nationally and perhaps even globally. Let's talk a minute about the personal property tax relief, because over and over, everywhere we went, every business we heard from practically, especially the industrial sector, said Michigan can no longer compete with a tax on equipment because the other states are phasing it out or they've gotten rid of it. So what did we do here to make Michigan more competitive, Howard?
Well, we did two separate things that are interrelated. We exempted large manufacturers from the 24 school mills, 6 set mills and 18 school operating mills. And that exemption reduced their taxes by about 46% on average. And then we provided on top of that a credit of 35% for their remaining property taxes. And when you do the math, when it all comes out in the wash, manufacturers, industrial, personal property gets a tax cut of about 65%. So we took care of about 65% of their problem. Now, we didn't go the whole way. The credits were very expensive, and we had to develop mechanisms to reimburse the school aid fund to make sure that K-12 was held harmless, and which it is, and locals are held harmless as well from the exemption portion. The credits are just reductions in the stream of the tax, so that's not an issue in terms of reimbursement. But that personal property tax relief will give manufacturers a very strong incentive to invest in capital in Michigan, because that's on top of, as you mentioned earlier, the investment tax credit that they get. So now they'll get a personal property tax credit, and they'll get the investment tax credit for the same equipment. So it's a very powerful inducement to invest in capital.
And while it does significantly help the big three, it also entices other manufacturing into this state to gain the same kind of tax benefits.
Absolutely.
And then we also can't leave out the fact that there's a 23% credit for commercial equipment. And I look around this area, and some of the largest retail commercial development in the entire state is right out here between Grand River and 12 Mile Road in Novi. And they should benefit. Another benefit, you know, I was asked, what little businesses here around you, Nancy, can see some gains? Well, we have Varsity Lincoln Mercury, we have Marty Feldman Chevrolet, and we do have an incentive, I believe, a credit for inventory on their inventory. They also do pretty well under this new tax formula, and that's to the good. These are small business people who have shown an ability to really produce here in our area, and it generates jobs, and it keeps those that are here. So that's just a small beginning, but I wanted to mention it. I'm so glad you mentioned that the schools are held harmless as well as our local units of government, so they will not lose revenue. So important for them to maintain quality education. Also, police, fire, and whatever else the municipalities feel are essential to the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. You know, I just wanted to wrap up and in summary kind of once again summarize what we were trying to do here. We wanted the new plan to be more fair, more equitable, a broader base. I think we've accomplished that. And then ensure that some of those sectors that are growing and diversifying will be helped because they're going to be the job providers, as well as recognizing the importance of our historic manufacturing base in this state. So all of that combined, I think, is pretty positive, and I'm glad my name is associated with it, the main bill, which is now a public act. And one other thing that I would like to mention, because it will help us going into maybe next month's Lansing Connection, is the fact that CNBC has just released an analysis of the best places in the United States right now to do business. Unfortunately, Michigan is still pegged way, way below where we want and need to be, at 41st place. The top states to locate and do business: first, Georgia; secondly, Texas; thirdly, Utah; fourth, Georgia; and number 5 comes in at North Carolina. Two things I want to stress. All of these states are right-to-work states. They have an educated and an ample workforce. That was all a plus. Michigan has a good workforce. We have a good educational system. They also, in many ways, emphasize tourism, and they go after tourism actively. And I think that's an area where Michigan can look at. So while we have finished a business tax, we're not done. We still have a budget to balance. We still have policies that we've got to put in place, maybe do some reforms, look at our regulations and the burdens on business, look at what is making these other 5 states the best place to go, and then to try and, well, at least in some ways mirror what they're doing, because I think Michigan can be a comeback state. I believe in Michigan. Don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. We have great resources here.
Too.
We have some of the best universities in the world, and we have some of the most talented people in the world. And we will be competitive, and we will do well in the future.
We will. You were born here. I am an adopted daughter, but I choose to live here because I think it's a great state. Howard, thank you for being my friend and my partner in Lansing, and certainly for all the effort you have made. You can tell, ladies and gentlemen, he's an unsung hero, and you've just gotten to meet one of Lansing's finest. Thank you for listening. See you next month.
Thank you.
Okay. Looks like we're finishing up and just, that was good. I think we covered our main points.
Yeah. There's so much.